truly in love with you.
What is up guys, Stu here. And today's video is something slightly different. It's not a review as usual. It's just something that I wanted to sit down and chat with you guys. I've wanted to do it for a little while now, but I've never quite got around to doing it because there's always something that gets in the way. And I seem to sit down and go, hey, I want to make a video about this. But by the time I've got around to actually doing it, I'm like, it's kind of become irrelevant. You know, are people really still talking about that now? But this particular thing just keeps coming up. It keeps coming back up, seemingly like every month this year. So finally I just thought, right, I've got time now. I'm just going to do a video. It is still relevant, despite the fact that it's been going on for like half a year now. So let's talk about Star Wars and the return of the questionably angry fans. We've gone through various different waves of this kind of toxic fan base view of what they want and what should be happening with Star Wars at the moment. And this week we've kind of reached a new peak, a new point of like, what is happening here? in this lovely tweet, I'll just put it on screen for you there. We got this tweet this week from a user that seemed to claim that they are petitioning or trying to fund a full remake of The Last Jedi. Now, I don't know whether this is a legitimate thing that some fans are trying to do, whether they are actually trying to get funding for a remake of The Last Jedi, or whether it is just some blatant, wild, crazy internet troll that's just thought, I'm just going to tap into whatever's happening here, make something funny, it will go viral. I really hope it's the latter, and it very much could be, but at this point, the fact is, this tweet exists, and there are a large portion, seemingly, of Star Wars fans that agree with this, and very much want to see The Last Jedi fully remade and are willing to put money behind it. Which is baffling to me. It's crazy. There is a weird subset of this fan base that feel so strangely entitled to what they think is exactly how Star Wars should be. And it's seemingly very hypocritical, seemingly just very at odds with many other things that we're seeing in the Star Wars fan base. I don't quite understand it really. I guess that's why I'm making this video. I'm trying to understand this all. And I mean, vocal subsets of fan bases it is nothing new. They are present in every fan base out there. I mean, DC, Marvel, whatever, you name it. There's always going to be a certain amount of fans that feel that there is a specific right way to do things, and anything that isn't that way, they're going to get angry about. It's always been present as long as there's been fans about anything, right? But I'm not sure I've seen anything quite as baffling and hilarious as a small group of fans actually petitioning to get the film remade entirely from new. And actually, well, it seems like they're trying to approach Disney about this. And that's the part of it that makes me feel like it's a troll. I don't understand how anyone could think that Disney are going to be like, yeah, sure, here you go, have some money and redo our film for us. Like, Disney are going to be like, thank you, we were waiting for someone to do that. And it boils down to this really strange thing we started seeing after The Last Jedi, from obviously not all fans, but from some fans, which was this very strange kind of entitled, I didn't get it my way kind of mindset to it all, which really does confuse me. And it's a very strange way to approach any film. And I'm not saying here that, you know, you have to like every film, and I'm not saying that you have to like The Last Jedi. I know you guys know that I adored The Last Jedi. I really, really loved that film as a Star Wars fan, but I know loads of people that didn't like that film, or didn't react strongly to it, or just didn't really feel much for it. And I've had many different conversations with people and friends that disagree with me about how much I love The Last Jedi. And that's fine. We have nice discussions about film. That's what is so good about film. People have different opinions. It's subjective. Everyone is entitled to their own opinion. You don't have to universally like something, but you can have these discussions with people. It's what's enjoyable about film, seeing what other people are thinking about it. But I'm not sure how you get from there to actively hating something so much that you're willing to, firstly, just torment and bully the creatives behind it online, which is something we've seen happening over the last couple of months on Twitter, and then also try and remake it as if you're some kind of strange entitled being that the whole world revolves around, that Disney should just bow down to fucking Terry in his attic who has a couple of Star Wars toys and doesn't like the way that The Last Jedi handled Luke Skywalker. I saw a video on Twitter the other week of someone who had bought some of the toys of Rose in the film, and he burnt them and made a video of him burning them, as if this was some kind of waking call for Disney, and they'd be like, oh shit, this guy's burning his toys of the film. we're at crisis mode. A full-grown man buying toys of Disney to burn them to make a point that he doesn't like the film that they're putting out. How have we got here? What confuses me about it is that the people that have been so vocal and toxic in their criticisms of The Last Jedi seem to hold the first 6 films before, well, 7 with The Force Awakens, everything before that to such high standards. I'm not entirely sure, and I haven't been able to work this out in my head yet, or from talking to other people, I'm not entirely sure why this is the point where some fans have gone, I'm done with Star Wars. Why is The Last Jedi the point? We got through the prequel trilogy, which is, I'm not even, that's a different video entirely. I'm not going to get into that. But also the original trilogy, and this is where, I'm going to tread finely because I don't want to shit all over Star Wars because I love Star Wars myself. But if you had a gun to my head, okay, and you were like, is the acting and everything, is it great in Star Wars? I'd straight up be like, no, it's not. You know, there's a lot of problems with the original Star Wars trilogy that I think a lot of people seem to forget or seem to just look past because of nostalgia and because it's their childhood and stuff. And then when you come to the new ones, a lot of the similar problems people are talking about are present throughout all of the Star Wars films. It's just a part of Star Wars. But it's only now that they're starting to go, oh, this is so bad, Disney, you better fucking war. I mean, we're talking about a franchise about wars that happen in space, okay? And there's aliens, and there's a little green man this tall. Do you remember that bit in fucking Empire Strikes Back where he's like floating on top of rocks with Luke Skywalker? It's innately ridiculous. Star Wars has, and always will be, a ridiculous premise. It's fun. That's the fun of it. People are hitting each other with sticks made out of light. Why is it at this point when you see a character float in The Last Jedi that you go, you know what, I am doing something about this. But I do get the impression from a lot of these very vocal, toxic minorities of the Star Wars fan base, I do get the impression that they are just searching for things to hate because they want to go against everything that Disney seems to be standing for at this point. And so you get criticisms, I hate this word and I hate to use it in a video on my channel, but I'm going to because it's something that a lot of people have been using when critiquing Star Wars at this point. You get to the SJW. The SJW criticisms of Disney and Lucasfilm and Star Wars at this point, which don't make any sense to me. They just don't. People are frustrated that there seems to be this very kind of liberal agenda that is being pushed through these films. And some people have worded their arguments in that sense much more eloquently than others. Some people are just straight up not even trying to hide the fact that they are just sexist at this point. I saw one video which stuck with me. Which was entitled Why the Last Jedi is a Cinematic Failure. And one of the points was that they're pushing this SJW liberal feminist agenda specifically. And he actually had a frame from The Last Jedi. It's hard to do without laughing. A frame from The Last Jedi in which there were 4 female characters and Poe Dameron. And he actually circled each of these female characters and was like, in this shot, there are 4 more female characters than male. What's going on, Disney? Explain that with your feminist agenda. Get the fuck out of here. Come off it. Are we really at the point where some fans are literally just circling the fact that there are more females in a frame than males as a fact that feminism is taking over Star Wars? I refuse to get on board with that criticism. There are some criticisms that, fine, you're allowed to have that. There's some things that are clearly wrong with The Last Jedi from a filmmaking standpoint. One of them is not the fact that there are more females than men in frame. And that seems to be, for me, as far as I've been able to work out, the root of why this is the point where some fans seem to be giving up, despite the fact that we have had problems with Star Wars in the past. I mean, just in the prequel trilogy, a lot of problems. It's this kind of scapegoating of their anger at sort of feminism and SJW agendas onto Star Wars. It seems to be incredibly problematic at this point. It seems to me like a lot of these people are just straight up being sexist. They seem to be completely missing the point, and actually in many cases seem to be doing exactly what it is that they seem to be going up against. Because you get these people that are like, why is Disney making it all about gender and pushing all these things in and getting this pro gender thing in there, and then they're making 20-minute videos where they're deconstructing frames of Star Wars trying to show how many different genders are in the frame. Stop it. And there's so much hatred there, which is worrying and troubling. So much hatred behind it. It's genuinely quite depressing to see that that's the state that this has got to. And that brings me to a further piece of news that we got this week, which, again, I'm not too sure how accurate this is. But we did get a little bit of information this week as to the future of kind of what Disney are going to be doing with their different spin-off projects and what they're doing, here on out for the Star Wars franchise. We got this little bit of information. Whatever you want to say about Solo, whatever you want to say about these Disney films that have yet to be released that people get very opinionated about before they even see them, whatever you want to say there, I think it's hard to argue that it's better at this point to take some risks. And it's strange because this is the sort of thing which seems to clash a lot between the Star Wars fan base and never seems to settle on one, because at one point you'll get the general Star Wars fan base saying, oh, we don't want you to play it safe because we've seen all this before, we want you to be doing new things. And then when you try new things, you get people saying, don't try new things, you're ruining my childhood. Clearly you can see Disney like, what the fuck are we doing then? And as a business, they want to be getting the most from their product. They want to be getting the most from the Star Wars fan base. So how are they going to react going on? And if this is true, and if this is exactly what they're going to be doing going forward, I think that's very worrying. And very kind of disappointing to see that. And the annoying thing and frustrating thing here is that it seems like a lot of these kind of very toxic vocal parts of the fan base that are going, no, I'm not having this, I'm not my Star Wars or whatever. It seems like they're winning. Or at least in their eyes, they're definitely winning. At the end of the day, they raise their voices and it seems like Disney are doing something because of it. I don't think they're going to really learn from what's going on here, because there is definitely lessons to be learned here, because this really shouldn't be the way that you tackle disliking a film. It's not a healthy way of doing that at all. What happened to just seeing a film you don't like and then, just getting on with your life? But it's having an impact on what Disney's doing, and it worries me for episode 9. It really does. I'm worried that they're gonna do a little bit of a U-turn on it. I really don't know what to expect from episode 9, because I would not be surprised if we got to episode 9 and it was just very different to The Last Jedi. Because naturally, they're not going to want to piss off as many people as they did with Last Jedi. And that's why it's all the more frustrating that so many of the people that are getting vocal and that were pissed off by The Last Jedi seem to just come from very, very strange places with their criticism. So to conclude, in this weird kind of ramble of a chat with you guys, I'm not entirely sure what to make of any of this. I'm not sure I've really got my head around a lot of the criticisms with The Last Jedi, or why so many people are so vocal to such a toxic extent. But I do know it is a utterly ridiculous idea to think that you're going to remake a film that you didn't like. Just let it go. You don't have to watch that film again. If you didn't like it, how about you don't buy it? How about you don't watch it? How about you just enjoy Star Wars for what it is? Because at the end of the day, Star Wars is just a fun time. It's a fun space opera adventure franchise about people that hit each other with sticks that light up. When did we start taking it this seriously? And how do we stop taking it this seriously? Because it seems like it's beginning to have a strange negative impact on the future of the franchise. And next time you're in a toy shop thinking about buying a toy to take home and just burn to make a point about how much The Last Jedi ruined your childhood, maybe just don't do it. Go back to what I'm assuming you think are flawless masterpieces in the prequel trilogy, or just go watch the original trilogy. If you don't want to stick around for The Last Jedi, don't. It'll be a much better place without you.